We have mycotoxin poisoning.
Yeah, we can go in there and start doing the fixing, but what else could it be doing to our system?
So now we're moving to Tennessee in 2 days.
One of the main things that we wanted with the house is acreage.
She did tell me about the spiders.
Yeah, apparently there's a lot of spiders in Tennessee. With the properties that were available out there, we would have to renovate.
So yeah, it's just been a whole whirlwind of changes that has happened so quickly. Change is scary, but I'm glad to be doing it with you.
It's a new chapter.
Hey guys, I'm Brittany Xavier.
And I'm Anthony Xavier.
And you're listening to The Long Game. We have mycotoxin poisoning. Should we dive into how we found that and where that's led us? It's been a little bit of an investigative journey.
A lot of things that we've kind of had to do ourselves with the support of, our functional health doctor. But
so what happened is I had done preventative testing. It's called Function Health, and they do 114 biomarkers in my blood. And I was doing my second round of it. So my doctor, Dr. Julie Taylor, which we had an episode with her on if you're interested in listening to that, she told me that she could see I had inflammation, but we couldn't figure out the source. She said, maybe you were sick when you took the test. I said, I didn't feel sick. And she said, well, let's do a mold test just to rule out any mold that could potentially be affecting your results. I didn't think anything of it. I took the mold test, or it's a mycotoxin test. And mycotoxins are basically like what mold puts off.
mm-hmm.
So it's technically mold, but the way they test for it is a little different. So sure enough, my results came back. She said that it's very high in a certain type of poisoning. And she wanted me to figure out what could it be from my environment because it's so high. And at that point, we also had Poppy tested, Anthony, Jaden, and our nanny Sandra tested. Everyone came back high on the mycotoxins except Sandra. She didn't have any. And so we thought it might be our food that we're having because she eats different food than us.
Well, also, too, it was confusing because you and Poppy had the same one that was high, but Jaden and I had different ones that were high. So trying to pinpoint, wait, why do we have different ones than you if we're eating the same thing and we're in the same house? And then Sandra didn't have anything and she's in our house. I mean, she doesn't eat her food that much, but she's in our house quite a bit.
But at that point, we went back to my doctor. We showed her the results and she just didn't think that it could be from the food. She's like, it's so high that you need to have your house tested. So up until this point, we are remodeling our house that's in Pasadena. We're living in a rental house. So the mold that we found is in the rental house that we're renting right now. And it's a 1930s home, beautiful. It's all original. They had done some updates throughout the years, but to the kitchen and the bathrooms. And she said, you need to get that tested because it's either that or it's some hotel you guys went to. If you travel a lot, it could have been some exposure there. But it has a 30-day half-life. So if you were exposed and your body was detoxing it, it would already be gone within 30 days. You wouldn't keep getting re-exposed, which is why she thought it was from the house. We contacted our landlord, told him what was going on with it, saying we found this mold from a test, and he had sent someone out to do air test.
Yeah, so he sets a machine up in each individual room and it gathers the air at that exact point. So this test shows what's in the air at that time. And when the results came back, everything looked okay. And we're like, wait, how does that make any sense?
So I found the environmental analytics. Is that what they're called?
Environmental analytics, yeah.
Yeah, so she referred me. She's like, I think you should do your own investigating and see what you guys find. She's like, I don't know 100% about all the specifics about this mold, but I think you should talk to an expert and then just get a second opinion. So that's what we did. And so we met with him. We did an hour consultation and he explained how we should do a dust test.
It's called the ERMI test, ERMI. And so in each room, and we labeled the different zones, we'd go through with kind of like a Swifter thing and collect dust from the different areas within that zone. And then you put it in and you submit it to a lab and they analyze it.
So we got the results back. We had another meeting with him and he said, it doesn't look good. There's definite contamination. And one area that was actually really high on the contamination that we didn't even consider before was in the basement where Jaden was living. There's a door there that's like a crawl space.
It has access to underneath the house, basically, but it opens up right into a room. When he looked at the different zones, and there was key spores or mycotoxins that were incredibly high, And we also did an outdoor test too, just because that was kind of like the sample test. Okay, what's on the outside compared to the inside of your house? And the inside of the house looked horrible. Actually, the test that was done outside looked better than all the other tests that was done inside. And the differences between this ERMI test and the test that we did before, where we had the mold guy come out and do the air testing, is because the air testing is only really a snapshot of what's in the air at that particular time.
So if dust hasn't been blown up,
or the accumulation, so all the stuff that's accumulating in your room or zone, and it starts to fall. And over, I think we did, because we get our house cleaned every 2 weeks, so we had it up to the point to where it was 2 weeks of anything that was in the air would fall on the walls or on furniture. And so this test, the ERMI test, was a lot more accurate because it shows a better representation of what is actually going on in that room, besides the other test, which was kind of like the snapshot of the air at that particular time. So that's kind of the difference between those two tests, and how the other test isn't really too reliable yet, still gets used.
He did say that it was a good sign that the mold test we took was a urine test. So he said it is a good sign that your body is detoxing, like you're seeing it in your urine, because he said with Sandra, she may have an exposure, but her body's not detoxing. It's not coming out. So he said it's a very controversial test because you can prove both ways that you have the toxins, even if you don't see it. You'd have to do a blood test to get like an actual result of like what specific toxin you have. So that was the next step in that. But I think the urine test is a great way to get you in the direction to see if anything is coming up.
But it could be misleading too. Like you said with Sandra, if you're like, oh, I came back negative, you might think you're completely fine. But if you have symptoms, then yeah, you would need to investigate further.
And the thing that our doctor was really confused about, she said, I'm shocked that you guys aren't more sick from this, from how high your levels are. Have you noticed anything? She said it can affect fertility. It can affect memory loss, fatigue. She was telling me the different symptoms. I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel sick. But she said our immune system could be doing a really good job suppressing it and fighting it. If we take glutathione, we do a lot of these detox. We're constantly in the sauna, and we have those air filters in every room, just in general, not because of the mold. We just are really into the clean air, supposedly, and then we have toxins. So she said it's shocking that we haven't had any symptoms, because normally people find mold because they're really sick and they can't figure out what it is. And so then the doctor will finally do a mold test as like last resort, but that's never top of anyone's list, is doing a mold test.
But also too, some of the symptoms could be similar to someone with allergies. And so I had noticed that my nose was very inflamed. I was like constantly feeling something in my chest. And even with Poppy and Elliot, even right when we got back from Tennessee, Elliot's nose started going again.
And when we were in Tennessee, we had gone to Tennessee recently, and we had all felt great. And then we got back, and then their noses started running, just like not that much, but just like a
it's
drip,
like allergy.
Almost like allergies.
Yeah, it just kind of like bugs you, and you just don't really think anything of it. But being that we did all these tests, we knew kind of what was going on.
So what happened after that?
So once we did another consultation with Mike Schrantz, looking over the results, and he suggested that we bring in someone from San Diego, Anna Branch, who can do additional testing. She can look at the house again, knowing that, okay, we have a great snapshot of what's going on. Let's see if we can get Anna in and try to, what her recommendations would be to fix it, essentially.
And she would take samples as far as like drilling into the wood and seeing where the source is.
Mm-hmm.
He recommended that was the next step. So the timeline of this, to make more sense, is found out about the mold, I want to say August or September. August, yeah. I had my blood test. September, I was feeling a little weird that we couldn't figure out what the inflammation was. So all this time we had met with him, I think it was December.
Yeah, because that was the first available appointment.
He was pretty hard to meet with. He's really in high demand. He's amazing at just what he knows about mold. I said, if you ever please can come on the podcast, it's such an interesting topic, but would love to know how people can test at home and all of that. So maybe more to come there. But December we met with him. So January, and then the fires hit. Mm-hmm. So we kind of pushed everything off. The air quality was terrible in general. I mean, everything that happened with that. So we go to Tennessee for the week. We were looking at places. We come back home, and she had come that next Sunday, and she went all around the house and looked, and she was supposed to take samples. And then she met with us afterwards and said, you have a very sick house. You can see all the different evidence of water damage throughout the years. Prior to this landlord, it was probably years in advance.
Yeah.
She had seen a rag that there was a hole in the wall and they had stuck a rag to like clog the water, and there was water damage all around it.
Well, and it recently just rained too, which gave her a really good indication, like where's the water coming from. So when she went into the crawl space, she can see the water just coming right in. There's a lot of debris left from past constructions. There's cardboard. I mean, just a lot of things that promoted mold growth.
She also saw a lot of rat poop. So she said that is not good with whatever viruses they're bringing in, and
Poop and urine and yeah, all that.
so her recommendation to us was that we move out, because we had told her that we were already planning on moving out in June when we were going to move to Tennessee after Jaden graduated high school. She's like, you have the air filters here, but you can't really detox because you're constantly getting re-exposed. It was just like the weirdest timing. We're like, okay, now there's a bunch of people also looking for rentals, and our rental house is in San Marino. So we were trying to think if we could look for another rental for 5 months. It's a weird situation because we were already planning on leaving in 5 months. So it's like, do we get a short-term rental? Do we get an Airbnb, move our things, and then move again? And we ultimately decided that it's best if Jaden lives with her friend while we move to Tennessee sooner, and we'll come back out for her graduation. But it doesn't make sense to move 2 more times.
And the biggest thing too was, even based on her recommendations, like you need to fix the crawl space, you need to fix the attic. Our landlord was very willing to work with us and wanting to rectify everything, because he said, yeah, I saw the pictures, like this does not look good. He's like, my worry is yeah, we can go in there and start doing the fixing, but what is that going to drum up? It's just like all the stuff that's in the attic, all the stuff that's in the crawl space while you guys are living there. Like it's just going to put all that stuff in the air. And he's like, I know you guys are in this weird situation where you're going to be gone regardless in a few months. So he's like, what do you really want to do? And we were kind of battling back and forth, like we can't find another rental, even if we wanted to stay here, because of the fires. There's so many people in hotels and the rental prices.
But also, like, we don't want to sign a year lease either.
Yeah. So you would need a short-term rental, or do we do an Airbnb? But it was really hard to kind of like, where are we supposed to be with this? So eventually we came to the conclusion, like, yeah, we need to move, and we might as well move to Tennessee, because when we were out there, we had saw a lot of properties. One of the main things that we wanted with the house is acreage. And with the properties that were available out there, we would have to renovate the houses that these places were on. Like the houses weren't in great condition, but it had great land. And
our favorite house that we found.
Yeah. So, that kind of brings us to where we found a good amount of land with the house that's from,
pre-Civil War.
Yeah. So obviously that
smells like mold when you walk in.
Yeah, it's bad. That needs to be renovated. So regardless, even one of our favorite houses that we wanted to get, no matter what, we couldn't move in. We'd either have to renovate the house, or we would have to do a new build on the land. And so that gave us clarity to, well, if we rent somewhere for a year, that gives us enough time to put these plans into motion. And if we needed to stay at the house out there, then that's fine.
So when we were in Tennessee, we were thinking through the logistics of what it would be like to move out there in June. We were thinking, do we look at a rental there? And 3 people when we were there had said, cross-country move, I really recommend you rent for a year. What if you don't even like the neighborhood you're in? Or what if you find yourself going to certain places and you wish you were closer to those? You don't really know until you're here where your doctor's going to be, where your dentist, and that network of people that you're going to be around. And because we know who we're going to be hanging out with there, we kind of have a better sense, because it's not like we're just moving blindly without any recommendations from our friends. But that was, I think, good advice, especially our realtor told us that too. She's like, you learn things about the property, learn things about the seasons here, what you wish you would have known. So I think that was good advice when we were there. So when we came back from Tennessee and then we got the mold results about, like, you guys probably should move out, we were more open to thinking, how can we make Tennessee work sooner? Now that we kind of have a little bit of a game plan, but we were more worried about what Jaden was going to do, because I brought it up to her about doing maybe online school and she coming with us, but she's like, that's depressing. I don't want to do online school. My senior year of high school, that's like the most fun of high school that there is.
With all your friends that you've known for the last 4 years and even before that, yeah. So to take her out of that school to either go to a completely new school or to do online, it
doesn't seem worth it. We worked out something with our family friend and her friend she's living with, so she's in a safe environment, and mean, she's 18. She's so independent. She makes her own money. She's becoming an adult. And we immediately had her move out though after the mold because her room was actually the worst area.
Yeah.
We're like, I'm so sorry you lived here for a year. She does have 2 air filters down there because the dogs are always with her down there. But I did feel bad. She said that her cough already seems a little bit better.
Yeah, she always had a cough or a runny nose.
Always. I just assumed she had allergies. That's always what.
Or her immune system was lower because being at a school with a bunch of other kids and,
Yeah, I would say you need to have more vitamin C and up your immune system. But now it was most likely the mold.
Sorry, you were
being infected. But she did say her cough seems like it's getting better. So that's good. So yeah, it's just been a whole whirlwind of changes that has happened so quickly. So now we're moving to Tennessee in 2 days.
Not from when this podcast is being recorded in 2 days, yeah.
When we're recording the podcast, and in 2 days we are
packing up a truck and headed out there.
So the rental house that we have it was between us and a few other people. So that's why I felt like it was such, like, we're supposed to be there. We had prayed about it. We're like, please close the door on this. If it's not supposed to be, like, have them just pick someone else and then we'll know a clear direction and where we're supposed to go. They had taken a day where they didn't call us the next day. And we're like, oh, I don't think we got it, but okay, at least we know. And then the next morning they said, they picked you. And it is a stunning property. It's a historic home. It's on over 20 acres. So we'll get that feel of being on acreage in the neighborhood that we're already thinking of. And we'll get a better idea of the seasons there, how it goes with the spring and now being there for the summer. And I'm excited.
It's nice because it would be similar to a home that we would buy or build on land. So it would give us a great idea as to, do we like being on a lot of land or do we need to be closer in a town?
Right. I think this will be a good idea for us to get a better, clear picture. And it has a really cute guest house. So when Jaden comes out to visit, she has her own space. It's perfect for what we were already thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really, really like the house. So I'm really excited to be there. She did tell me, we had an interview with the owner on Zoom and she said about the spiders.
Yeah, apparently there's a lot of spiders in Tennessee.
That threw me off. I was like, wait, what? She's like, what? You know there's spiders here, right? So she told me what they do for it. She's very non-toxic and all chemical free. So I really like that. But I was like, oh, I didn't know spiders. What?
I mean, we're going out onto land. This is going to be different. The different types of things that we're going to see around the house, in the house.
I'm going to have to get a bunch of tips from her because I don't want to use an exterminator or Roundup or anything like that. But it's like, I don't also want a spider on my bed at night. I'm going to be so scared.
I mean, I do a little
Jaden
bit too,
does. Jaden, like, you think someone's breaking into her. Oh, also the basement had so many spiders in her room because she had the basement and the windows of our rental were basically to just outdoors. So she had these little tiny windows that she would tape around the corners because the spiders were coming in. So she would always find spiders down there. I'm like, ooh, I don't know. But they were probably coming through this crawl space that we didn't even think about. The underground crawl space, and they were just probably coming in through
because there's no seal on the bottom of the door, so they could have just like
because that would make sense why she would find so many in there, even though we taped the corners of the other windows.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think. Hopefully, she doesn't listen to this episode because I don't think I want to tell her about the spiders, or she won't want to come visit as much. She'll be so scared. I think Poppy is really going through it right now a little bit because we're packing up her room, and so when we were in Tennessee visiting. The whole time she kept saying, like, I want my friends, which her friends are all the stuffed animals that we didn't bring on the trip just to see the properties. And I think she would have felt a lot more, like, she wouldn't have been asking to go to her room so much if we had brought everything. So packing up things right now, what I'm trying to do is pack everything up in boxes so that the movers only have to do the furniture, artwork, all the big things, and then obviously all the boxes. But I'm really particular about how I like to pack things up and label everything. So I've been doing that with her over the last couple of days. And she's like, wait, what are you doing with that? Are you donating it? I'm like, no, I'm bringing it with us. She keeps thinking I'm donating it because I do like to donate things.
Yeah, we cleaned her playroom.
I like to clear clutter. And she's like, where did that go? Where did you put it? Did you put it in storage?
Yeah, she's very adamant. I'm like, wait, we need to make sure this is coming with us.
Said it's all coming with you. I'm not getting rid of anything. But I think she is having a hard time that Jaden's not in her room anymore. So I say, we're always going to be a family. Jaden's going off to college and she's living her own life. If she's going to come visit, we're going to come see her. There's just that change of she's not in her basement room where Poppy would always go down there and be like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Ask her to take her to the park and different things. So I think that's an adjustment, but just making sure we tell Poppy, we're here for you. It is tough. it's a change we're all going through, but we're always a family. And I love the episode that we did with Dr. Eliza. She talked about building resilient kids, and check that episode out if you haven't listened to it. But it was really encouraging for me. Is like your kids can go through things, but if you're there for them and you don't have to fix it, but it's okay to be there for them and know that they're going through something hard, but you don't have a solution because it is hard. We all miss her, and it's a different change. It's something that we were going to go through in August when she moved out, but I guess I just didn't think that I didn't know what the logistics of it would be in my head of like what it actually means of her not being there every day.
I think it's a lot of fun changes. I was kind of going through it a little bit in the beginning because like, oh wow, we're moving, what that entails to a place that, well, at that time we didn't even know where we were going to. We were still looking.
And moving in general is really stressful, but let alone moving to a whole different state.
Yeah.
I am really glad that we visited for that week when we went out there because I did feel like we were going to the coffee shop we went to. We went to the place to get our lunch, and we knew the spots that had organic and well-made food. And so I feel like that week helped us feel like, okay, we kind of know the spots that we'd go to if we went out to eat.
We drove a lot that whole week, and it gave us a really good picture of just the different landscape, or East Nashville, West Nashville, South, just all the different areas. And I felt a lot more comfortable because you do have those options if we needed to go to Whole Foods, which we had to a couple times. Mm-hmm. And we
also
market,
crossed off some areas off our list that we thought we'd really like when we got there. And we drove there and we thought, no, we don't want to be over here. This is way too far away from everything. So that was nice, just driving around and figuring out the area. So I think it's going to be so different. I think the fires have really made, I know some of my friends who are even in LA, they're like, we are considering leaving for a year just with the air quality. And so I think it has put a little bit of a different perspective on if the fires didn't happen in the air quality. I think I would have been way more hesitant to leave because we're constantly outside. But after the fires, like we haven't been going on walks. I don't want to exercise outside. I'm not sure because there's conflicting reports about if you're breathing in asbestos or you're breathing in the lead that's 12 miles up. Like you hear different things. So it's tough because it's like I don't really know. And the environmentalists I'm listening to were saying like, I'm staying out of LA, this area, as much as I can.
Yeah.
So it's hard because it's like we have kids and we're like, do we not take them to the park now? It's like this weird feeling. There's also ash in our backyard in different areas still where I'll find, I'm like, oh, don't touch the ash. That's hazardous. And so there's like a little bit of that where it's like sad in a way because I'm like, I know they'll rebuild and it'll come back, but some of the reports are saying like over like a year before they're going to get all the hazardous waste out.
And you don't know what the lasting effects are.
I know. I mean, even after the fires, there was so much ash, like what's going in the soil. So they said farmers markets are going to be affected. Just there's going to be a trickle effect of different things that no one was expecting from this because it's like a bomb went off in a super dense neighborhood where no one was prepped for this. So it's really sad in that sense, but I am going to miss the convenience of everything.
Yeah, we're going to have to really get good at preparing ahead. And because, I would go to Erewhon like 3 times a day just because, let's go get smoothies. So that's going to be
also their pumpkin spice latte is the best thing ever. So during Christmas, that whole time I was like, we need to get a pumpkin spice latte. It was so good.
So the last week we've been just going to Erewhon for everything and trying to soak it up as much as we can.
Because we're also trying we're not trying to buy new food and waste it because we're not going to be able to bring a lot of we're trying to pack up our dry food. What do you think about, like, what emotions are you going through? Or
I felt very sad in the beginning just because I do love the house we were in. Elliot was born and we've had 2 Christmases there, and it was just our routine where we would go out for walks, or we were just we had our system set, and then now to have no system at all, there's a lot of unknowns and having to move cross country, a lot of those things. So that was kind of overwhelming. I think I was a lot worse a few weeks ago when we were deciding all of this. Now I'm okay. I'm excited. I know where we're going to be at now, and I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to setting up new routines, meeting new people, getting involved in a church out there, and it's exciting, and it's going to be overwhelming at times because they're like, what did we do? But I'm excited for it, and I think it's best for our family, and we're just going according to God's plan and where He wants us to be.
I think I was most sad about the mold, like finding out that it was way worse than we thought. I think I was really attached to that house, and to know that night when I was breathing in, it's like that it's not as all these things we're doing for our health. And then we're in an environment where we're breathing in contaminated air. That made me really sad because I was like, oh, I just love this house and I really wanted to be here until June. Like my plan in my head was, this is what we're going to do, not realizing, things were happening that I didn't even know about. But I was thankful that we found the mold results, because do we want to also be living there for 6 more months?
What else could it be doing to our system?
Right. And the fertility thing really threw me off because, what if that does affect me? I never knew that it was the mold or never went down that route. So I was really thankful in all of this, of the positives, that we found it, we were able to do something about it and make a informed decision. But I do think that I am going to be really sad because I think also throughout the fires, like our routine, like we stopped going outside for walks. The whole month of January was like really sad in general. Like everyone going through, knowing someone who lost their house, helping someone who lost their house, like people, neighbors who their houses burned down. It was just like story after story where, we were getting involved as much as we could. But it also takes a mental toll on you too, where you're like, this is so sad. This is our community. And seeing how the leaders and how everything was unfolding, it was just like really sad. It was just like, this is not how California should be treated, or it was such a beautiful state. And so I felt like very sad about that. But I think that our whole routines were thrown off. We didn't go outside. And after that, I felt like, I don't know if we should be going outside as much. So that's like also a little, the rains. The rains were such a blessing that I know they have all the beaches are closed now from all the mudslides and the hazardous runoff. So all the beaches are closed right now in the Malibu region, which is so sad too, because it's like the beautiful beaches are hazardous waste. You're not supposed to touch the sand if it's all scattered on it. So that's something to think about too. But I think I'm excited too to like start something fresh, and we know the place we're going to be at now. And I want it to be a place where people can come out and visit us. So our friends don't have to book a hotel if they want to come out. They can come and stay in the guest house and enjoy the land, do walks on the land, because it's not like we have to go to a park there, which is going to be so different.
Yeah.
And planning our schedules around when do we want to go to the park and come back. We can just have the kids run outside. And one of the things that really resonated with me when we talked to the owner is she said, no one locks their door around here. You can let your kids run outside and the community looks after everyone. I was like, huh? No.
Even when you just said that, I'm like,
there's no way I'm not locking my doors at night. Every night before we go to bed, I check all the windows. It's like a 15-minute routine. I go through the whole house and I make sure everything is locked. We live on a very beautiful street in San Marino, and there's been 3 robberies on our street. The police have come and always interviewed us and like, did you guys see anything? We're like, no, but which house got robbed? So it's something that I constantly think about at night for sure. Just if it's sometimes crime of opportunity where they just jiggle the door, and if it's unlocked, it makes it a little bit easier. But I can't imagine going to bed without my doors locked.
It's just more peace of mind.
I think I still will lock them. Won't you?
Yeah, I'll lock them. I know that's against whatever, but
same. I'm like, you know what? Just
not saying that I don't trust people out there. It's just habit, and
it's just habit. Yeah.
If it makes me sleep at night, then that's fine.
But maybe we'll get more trusting of people when we're out there. Do you think?
I think so.
Like maybe we won't feel like so on high alert, like someone's going to break into our car.
No, and we'll get to know the neighborhood. And the house we're at now, I feel like that was kind of one of the first times where we made friends with the neighbors, or made friends with our neighbor. And then it's kind of nice because
I do think that we were meant to be in that house for a reason, because sometimes I think I'm like, shoot, had I known that I probably should have asked for a mold test before we moved into a rental. I don't know. We just got into the house so fast. It was so cute, and I loved the neighborhood. And I kind of kick myself sometimes, like, I should have researched more into the mold thing. It's a 1930s house. Like, why didn't I think this through a little bit? And it had a basement. I guess basements are really known for having mold, especially from that time. And radon, yeah. So I guess I just we didn't think it through. We were excited about the rental. And that's where sometimes I'm like, wow, I should have done my due diligence on that end. But our neighbor, love her to death. She is such a gift. She is a college counselor. And so when we first moved in, she said, I have high school students always coming over. So nothing's weird. I'm a college counselor. And she was just kind of joking with us. But I was like, I have a daughter in high school. And she was a junior at the time. And she said, would love to meet with her. I do all college planning. We do personality tests to see what fits. And she's been so great throughout all of this. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
So she's been amazing. And I feel like that has been such a blessing of living there. And her husband went to Vanderbilt Law. and they met in Tennessee. She's like, we constantly go out he's on the board he's an entertainment lawyer. So they're on the board for certain things out there. But she's like, we always come to Tennessee. I'm like, stay in the guest house. Would love to have you guys. So I'm excited. I want to really build a community out there. Also, the other thing we came to the conclusion when we were in Tennessee that week, I had been really struggling about Sandra coming out. I feel like I really wanted her there because she's so much part of our family.
And that was the initial plan.
That was always the initial plan. We offered her a relocation package. And I was so excited for her to come, thinking that we would work the same amount when we got out there and have our routine. But over the last few months, I feel like we sent her home early. We're like, hey, we're going to be with the kids today. We've been doing more of just being with the kids and, oh, we're not going to work that much today. We're going to just take it easy. And she's noticed that. She's like, I noticed you guys send me home so often. I leave early a lot. And so when we were in Tennessee for that week, we felt like the pace of life is a lot different. It's a lot more relaxed.
It's more relaxed. And then just even when we were hanging with Stevie and Suzanne and just seeing the families, and people are actually taking time to just be with each other and enjoy each other's company. It wasn't like a rush, oh, we have to go do this and this and this. So that was very refreshing just to see that dynamic.
Suzanne was telling me that it was a huge adjustment for them with the kids. They kept asking about if they're going back to their old house, and her kids are a little bit older than Poppy. So they're very more clued into where's my old room and all of that. But she said that what they realized is when they first got there, they tried to do the same amount of work. And she realized she needed to be there for her kids more and just really have that downtime of that transition, because moving is such a huge adjustment for a family, especially a cross-country move where you're in a different state. So that was really a good advice she gave me. And I thought, I think we just need to be with our kids right now and not have a nanny and not have Sandra move her life out here only for me to realize that while we're out here.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. She has family in another state. And so her ultimate goal was I would love to be closer to my family, but I want to come with you guys. And so after we came back from Tennessee, I had a heart-to-heart with her, and I just said, I love you. You're like our family, but I'm going to be at home with the kids more. And me and Anthony are going to trade off, and we're going to make this work. And she's like, wow, that was such the sign I needed, because I was really struggling with
whether she would go or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had such a peace about that afterwards. I said, anytime you want to come out for a weekend and we'll fly you out. You have to come to birthday parties. If you want to, come out for a week, me and Anthony can do a date night but we're like, we'll figure it out. So I think that Poppy's going to have a big transition with that too, because she loves Sandra. Sandra treats her so well. And so I think that just Jada not being there, Sandra not being there, it's going to be a whole
new environment, house, room, routine. It's going to be a lot, but I think that's a perfect time for us to really come together and be there for her and figure things out and explore and kind of set ourselves up.
Take the day if she is feeling sad, or let's go outside and I told her we can get a swing set. She's very excited about that. So we'll do some type of slide or something there that will feel like a park too. Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
But I know that change is scary, and
it's scary.
But I'm glad to be doing it with you.
Likewise.
A fun journey to do together.
It is. It's a new chapter.
And we've had different chapters throughout our marriage of being in the one bedroom, being in the
sleeping
apartment.
On a sofa couch or a pull out on our first place.
Yeah. So I think that we've had different, and I hope that this is another fond memory of, remember we moved, how chaotic it was. And then we love where we're at. And
yeah,
I am expecting us to go to New York for Christmas. It's only an hour and a half flight. So I was thinking we can even take the kids for a weekend.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited about that. Or just
having that.
Being closer to the East Coast and just exploring new places.
Yes. Any final thoughts before we close this out?
No, we figured out the mold issue. We figured out where we're going to be, and we have 2 more days to wrap everything up.
Oh, and our next, did we share what her name is? If they want to look into the mold, what?
Anna Branch.
Oh, Anna Branch. She's based in San Diego, but she does have referrals for people that are in different states, because I did tell her that if we were to remodel a house, she said, you definitely want to test for mold, and there's different ways to make sure you're putting in the right materials afterwards. So she was going to send us some recommendations of places that were closer to Tennessee. But if you guys reach out to her and wherever you're based, you can even do a consultation with Michael Strantz. Was amazing. He was so knowledgeable. Said it's just something that nobody tests for really. If it's
Yeah.
you're like sick, you think you have a cold and no, it'll pass. But if you constantly have the symptoms, then it could be mold in your house.
Something's going on.
Our house is half in boxes right now, so we need to just finish that aspect up.
Yeah. Fun times. Well, thank you guys for listening to our life update. We're excited. We're taking you along the journey. And make sure to follow us on the Long Game Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. And new episodes release every Thursday.
Bye, guys.